Hello, this is Janet from PV&J Crafty Room, and today I have another project for you. I am going to show you how to make this very pretty card out of these beautiful papers from Paperomia. Beautiful papers. These I printed booklet style. It's just a printer setting in my printer. But look how beautiful these papers are and all the details, and I will link this kit. You can get this kit in Etsy. But for this tag, let's get started on this tag. Okay, so this is a very vintagey tag. I use the Paperomia. This is called Pastel Mauve. The kit's called Pastel Mauve, and I will link it in the description of this video. And I used a vintage photo, which was a free download off of Pinterest. Pinterest has a lot of vintage photos. I will go see if I can find the link to this photo. It was actually a whole page of vintage photos, and I've cut them out, and we'll just choose one of these to do our tag today. And the back here is paper, just regular printer paper that you buy in the store, and I coffee dyed it. Depending on how strong your coffee is, how long you leave it sit. I will tell you, I found out that the longer you leave the paper sit in the coffee, the more delicate the paper is. So see, I've kind of ripped it in just handling it. But anyway, that's okay because I'm using just a little piece and you can't tell it ripped. Okay, and a piece of lace. And this is just regular lace. I actually cut this off a blouse that was too small for me. Instead of giving it to Goodwill, I took every part of the blouse and I'm using it in my junk journaling. So, oh, and the ribbon, it just came out of my ribbon stash. I just chose a piece of ribbon that fits. So let's get started. Oh, and the base of this tag, I will tell you, is this. Now, I bought these off of Amazon. It looks like there's a pack of 200, and they're called manila tags. I will also go find the link to these in Amazon. I got those off of Amazon. I'm sure you could probably buy those at Fred Meyer or Walmart, but I will go find the link to those and link it in the description in this video. So, okay, this is the base of my tag, and I took one of these beautiful papers, and I put my tag, I measured my tag to see what part of the paper I wanted to use. One of these days, I think I'm gonna make a card. I'm gonna make a card out of this vase, because man, that's just so pretty, isn't it? Okay, but on this video, I went ahead and let's see, where's the paper that I cut from? I cut my tag out of one of these papers. Well, it's here somewhere. I love these papers. They're just so pretty. Well, my point was, don't throw anything away. Whatever you cut out of, oh, here's what's left of the page that I cut out of because I've made so many projects out of this. Don't throw away your scraps of these papers like this, because you can make little pull tabs and little tags and bookmarks out of those things. Okay, so what I did was I took the base of the tag and I measured my paper over it, and yes, I covered up the hole. We'll use a hole punch to punch that hole after we get it glued on. So this is the piece of paper that I chose for this. I don't even have to choose whether it's the front or the back until I get it all glued on. So I'm going to glue this on. I love this glue. This is ArtQuest Perfect Paper Adhesive, and it's matte. I don't know if there's a difference between the matte and the glossy. This just came in a pack of scrapbook papers that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace, but I have found that you can buy this on Amazon. So I will go look for the link, and I will also post that in the description. So you can go look and you can buy it and see how awesome it is. It never buckles the paper, even though sometimes I use too much. I need to get one of those fancy little metal tips that only gives you the right amount for gluing your papers. I try. I have noticed the longer I keep squirting that glue, the better I am at getting very little out. And always have paper towels handy, because this glue, unless you're very good at squirting the glue out, you're going to get extra glue. And a bone folder. I don't have a bone folder yet, but that's okay. You can use any kind of a hard surface. I'm going to use, nice, we'll stick that over there. I'm going to use the edge of this, although I've got to push down on this. Just getting the air bubbles out of the glue. And then, of course, pull my tag out. And I need to, see, I'll have to cut that just a little bit. I need to turn this over because I've got little bits of glue here. So I'm going to turn this over, cover it, and I'm going to rub it this way on this side too. Being very careful. Go from the center out. And this bone folder, there's a special tool. It's not made of bone, so I don't know why it's called a bone folder. It's made out of plastic. But it does push the paper around really nice, or push the air bubbles out. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use these. Use my straight edge scissors, and I'm going to cut around this tag. And I have very little overhang, but I like to glue extra around my tag just so that I make sure I'm not short. Because depending on what kind of glue you use, sometimes it crinkles the paper just enough so that your edges show underneath. And you don't want that, because I'll bet very few people would guess that I'm actually using this tag underneath these papers. You know, you kind of have to figure out what you're going to use for the base. Okay, so there's my base. And I don't know, this may be the front, maybe the back. I'm not sure yet. I think I'm going to very carefully rub this. I don't like to rub over the actual face of the paper because I'm afraid I might rip any of the paper. Because I have done that. Because if you put too much glue under it, you know, it makes the paper real delicate. So now before I get the other side glued on, I'm going to poke this hole. And this single hole punch is so fabulous that this edge right here will fit right down inside this hole. If you can visually line it up so that it actually does that. On my other tag, I got it perfect the first time, and then the second time I had a really hard time lining it up. So see, I did a pretty good job that time. Not quite in the center, but who cares? You're not going to see that side. All you're going to do is see this side. Okay. That's what I love about this junk journaling thing, is it's not, you don't have to be perfect. Okay, here's the other piece of paper. I've already cut these so that you don't have to watch me measure and cut. I don't actually measure, but what I did do was I did take my tag and I put it like on the back of my sheet of beautiful paper, and I figured out where on here I wanted it, and then I took a pencil and marked around the tag, and then I cut on the outside of that line because I wanted extra in case it crinkles up. You don't want your edges to show. Okay, so this one I'm going to put right here. Just love this paper. And see, I cut the edge of this for something else, so that's going to be an edge I cut off once I get this onto my tag over here. You can actually see my pencil line right there. And see, I got a lot of glue here in the corner, so I'm going to try to spread that out. It's so forgiving. This junk journaling stuff is so forgiving. You don't have to be a professional. You don't even have to be good at it. You just have to have a passion for it. Because if you have a passion for it, you will get good at it, because you won't be able to stay away from it. As I have experienced personally. Okay, so this is going to go, I cut the bottom straight, so the bottom will go, on this bottom edge. And this glue is great. The paper, see, will actually slide around on here until, for a couple of seconds, until you get it set, until you start pushing it down everywhere. Okay, I think that's actually tag. We need to pull some more paper this way. Oh, I may have cut this one just a little bit short. If I cut it a little bit short, I'm going to cut that little bit of tag off so you don't see that edge. And nobody will know. And it'll look like a tag. These tags are really pretty, but then again, the papers make this project really easy because the papers are so beautiful. Okay. That works pretty good as a bone folder. I also was using my ruler. Just take the edge of the ruler and use it just like I was using the corner of this clothespin. Okay, so let's cut this off. I'm making sure I put the paper on there the right way. Because it looked like I had it on backwards, but actually, this is the one I've already glued down, so I'm cutting the other one. Okay, there's still a little bit more there. Sometimes I have a little bit of vision issues in cutting stuff, because I have RP, so I'm legally blind. So that's why I say anybody can do this. It's so forgiving. If I can do it, certainly you can do it. I'm going to cut just a skosh off the bottom of this tag because the edge was showing. And I think I'm going to let it dry before, I think I'm going to let it dry before I try cutting that off. Because I've got some edge showing here and some edge showing here. And after this dries, then I'll cut those off. Depending on how our design goes. Now I turn it over where I can see the hole here. And I just punch it again. So this should fit perfectly exactly down in that hole, and it should be easy to cut if you get it lined up. Well, that's not quite lined up. If it's lined up, it'll be super easy to punch. But you got to be careful about poking it because you get the whole top up here scored. Ow. This over here is getting kind of bunged up, so we'll have to cover that up. See? Forgiving. Very forgiving. Ah, I got it. See how easy that was? Okay. And because it's a little bit thick, you may have to pull the hole out. See? I got it on both sides. Okay, so now where's the actual tag here? This actual tag, I think I had a little bit, well, I guess, yeah, see, I think I had a little bit of the actual tag showing under the lace, but you can't see it. And nobody's going to pull that lace up to make sure that I got it perfect. Okay, so my goal is to have a picture. So let's find out of our stack of pictures that we cut. Well, here's a not very happy looking fellow, which is a lot of the pictures from the vintage black and white days. And I've heard it's because here's two kids. Oh, babies. Here's two babies. I've heard it's because they had to sit for a long time until they actually got the picture right. This picture goes this way. It looks like it's a gentleman and two ladies. I kind of like this one. It's not really the right format. I kind of wanted a tall picture for this, but you know what? I bet we could make this one work because I really like this one. Out of the pile for these papers, I really like this one. And I think this might be a pillar or a wall or something in the photo, but I'm going to cut that out because it makes the photo a little bit too long. So now the photo's a little more square. And if I put it at a little bit of an angle, I'm going to cut this white off. I didn't do a very good job paper cutting, but if you do have some white left, you can ink it, and nobody will see that. And if you don't have ink, I have a couple ways to fix that. You can take some makeup. I've recently learned this. This is blush. You can also take brown eyeshadow and a very soft brush. This is not a makeup brush. This is a painting brush, but I've never used it for paint. So I'm using it here in the makeup. And you just use it like an inker. I like to. And see, you can't even see that that's white there on the edge. It's just awesome. I have found that unless you seal this, it comes off pretty easy. And I'm not, I guess when you glue this down, you could make sure you get glue over the edge. That would seal it. Another way that I have been inking things, because I don't have my ink yet, it's on the way, is you could either use brown paint, or I've found this King's Gold. It's kind of a vintage yellow. I'm going to use this, and I'm going to shake it just a little bit to get paint in the lid. And I'm going to use my finger. I'm going to dip my finger in the lid, and I can do this because this is the only color I'm using. If you don't like finger painting, you could use a Q-tip and just go straight on and go down the photo. Now, see, I've got a glump of paint there, so I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to wipe it like that. Or you could wipe in. And if that's not the color you like, then choose a brown. Get a different color. So, is that working? I think that's working. I may have to come back and use the brown on the white edge part, because this yellow does not really covering the white edge. Well, maybe if I make sure it covered it. Oh, that covered. That looks kind of nice. Very vintagey, I think. Okay, now I got a little bit of white over here. Let's cover that. All right, now, I'm happy with this photo. What do you think? Does it look vintagey? I think it does. And I know it's curling. It's curling because the paint is wet. But when we glue, I'm going to stick this over here because I'm going to use that on other things. But when we glue this down, it's going to lay flat. So, but I need the base to lay it on. And I need a piece of lace. And I had lace here. Here's a piece of lace. I want the piece with the scallop on it. I think this is, here's a piece of lace. See, I just cut, here's my row of lace that I cut off my shirt. And I just keep cutting off of it into the shape that I want. And so the scallop edge, I'm going to have it hanging off the side of the tag. And I'm just going to put some glue under this. Yeah, I'm going to put some glue under this. not a whole lot. It doesn't, I don't really need a whole lot because I'm gluing other things on top of it too. And the glue is going to go right through the lace. It's going to hold everything very secure. So I want this hanging off the side of the tag. Just kind of tap that down. Make sure, I wanted it hanging off the side, not the bottom. Because if you put this in a pocket, you want a flat bottom on the bottom. Okay, so now I'm not gluing this down, but I'm setting it here to figure out the layout. Okay, I want it like that, and I want a little tag. See how I've got the little tags of words under it? You can't really read the words, but they lend to the look of the tag. I like that. They look quite vintagey. And then I took some of my coffee dyed paper, and I cut some little shapes off of it. Oh, you know what? I've got some of this. This is actual tissue paper. I was wondering if some of this wouldn't work too. So let's see if we can't cut a shape. Now this is where I like to use my shaped scissors. This one is called Victorian. And just cut some shapes. I'd rather have not sharp shapes, like, you know, not square points, not points. That's what I'm trying to say. Because I think the rounded edges help to make it look Victorian. Yeah, these scissors don't cut this very well. Okay, let's try that. We may not like it, but I thought, you know, it's of a color that might look good. No, I don't like it. Okay, so here, let's cut a piece of this. This is that printer paper that I coffee dyed, and I just made coffee and put it in a casserole dish that was big enough for a piece of paper, and laid the paper in it and counted to about 10 and pulled the paper out, put it in a baking dish, or put it on a cookie sheet actually, and it can dry in the sun that way, or you can stick it in the oven, being very careful not to leave it in the oven unsupervised, because you could quickly start a fire. Well, I think this lace is a little bit short for what I wanted. So let's move this up here. Might have to move the picture up. Too many words, too much words. I kind of like that. Now I want to cut some shapes for the bottom, because we want to get this, oh, and be careful. I know that the words aren't really readable. They're not. You can go through a book and pick out words that are words that you want people to read. But even if you don't, if they're not words that are supposed to be readable, they need to not be upside down. I've done that, and it really does look weird. Okay, this one, let's see, let's put this at an angle. Since everything's at an angle, let's put them all at an angle. And I'll do that one at an angle, see? No, those words are not upside down. Okay, I'm liking this. I need one more little piece of this to go under this other bottom corner. And I'm just cutting shapes. See, I'm not cutting a circle, I'm not cutting any particular shape. I'm just cutting the edges well, I'm cutting the straight edges off, and I'm cutting it basically just in a shape that I think will work here for what I want. These words are not the right shape. I want them to come out this way. And so I guess the majority of the designing of this tag is just figuring out what you want where. Yeah, I like that. I like that. So let's glue that down. We got to glue the back. Got to glue the backs ones down first. Except I didn't do any of the inking on any of the pages. Where's my lid of glue here? My paint. Here it is, right here. Okay, so I'm gonna want each. I'm gonna see if I can't ink each piece, and then I'm gonna need to probably reposition everything. See, now I'm liking the way this is looking. But I'm thinking I may want to use some brown also, because with those being so light colored, I may want some of the brown. And you got to be careful not to be too overzealous with the brown. So I've been getting real exuberant with my brown. I'll be glad when my ink gets here. Okay. And let's do this. Let's try the yellow here. Now see, I've already got some brown on my hand. Now this may be real pretty with the brown mixed with the yellow. Oops, I didn't even think about putting the brown, my finger with the brown ink in the yellow paint lid. And let's do this one. Now if you have ink, it's, I guess it's not ink. It's, oh, maybe it is ink. An ink pad with a sponge to go around the edges. I think this one was this one the bottom or the top one? I don't remember now. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Now we have to go back and redo it and see how we liked it. I think this one came from the bottom down here. See how to glue these on. And you certainly don't want to get your picture upside down of your people. Okay, yeah, this I think it has to go this way. Like this. That's good. All right, I think we're getting there. And this way. Yeah, okay. I'm happy with that. That's how we'll glue it down. Where's my glue? Okay. This is really nice glue for just about anything. If I'm gluing down big things, I'll use Aleene's Tacky Glue. But for just about anything I want to glue, I think that's where I wanted it. For just about anything I want to glue, I use that glue. And that glue is running out, so I'm going to have to get some more. I kind of cheated myself here on this piece. It should come up. I couldn't really see very much of that piece. Okay, there we go. Well, I got that one hanging off, and I didn't really want to, but that's okay. That glue is very forgiving. There we go. Okay, that one's glued down. All right. Here's my other piece. Let me glue the Yeah, I want more of the words showing, but I don't want them upside down, that's for sure. Okay, here, this is where we want them. And I'm going to glue this one down, this paper down to the words. Oh, and the words are just something I cut out of an old book. The book was going to be thrown away by someone else, and I salvaged it. And I said, I can use that. Okay, let's see. Where do I want this? I think I want it right about there. So now, is this where I want it? And in reality, is that where I want it? Well, that'll work. Yep. Oh, I don't want my picture upside down. I think I want it down just a little more. There we go. Okay, make sure all that's pushed down. And if you got too much glue off of your elements, don't be afraid to put a paper towel over there and push down, because you want the big globs of glue to get out from under all of that paper. You don't want any big globs of glue. Making sure that my picture is not upside down, I'm going to glue around all of the corners. This might be a nice way to preserve pictures of, grandma and grandpa or great grandma and grandpa. Make a tag that goes in a journal that commemorates them, celebrates them in your life. But for now, we're using this vintage photo of somebody else's grandma and grandpa. Making sure the picture I don't want hanging off. Everything else can hang off, because the things that hang off kind of get bent sometimes. Now, not if it's lace. Lace doesn't matter. That's hanging off just a skosh, but it's on top of the lace, so I think it's okay. So that's what we've got for the front. Now, back is real easy. Just take a piece of this printer paper that I've coffee dyed. Now, if you don't want to coffee dye it, you know what? You could water down some brown paint, water down some yellow paint, and just kind of swoosh it over there. So what I've done is I've cut a piece of this to fit across the back, and I do not want this hanging over at all. So this just barely fits. So I think I'm going to cut a little bit off so it fits a little better than that. And I used my vintage shaped scissors, but I didn't pay attention to lining up the design. I just went and started snipping. So I don't know if it looks like a vintage edge or not. A little bit more. When you're cutting stuff, do it little by little, because it is real easy to very quickly cut off too much, and then you got to go get a whole brand new piece. Okay, and just glue this all the way around. You want to be careful not to get a whole lot of glue. You got to get enough glue to hold the paper down, but you don't want the paper swimming in glue. Okay, I've got a lot of glue here, so I'm going to spread it around. Oh, I didn't put any in the middle. If you do not like using your fingers, I have seen crafters use gloves. Use the form-fitting rubber gloves, or use a Q-tip. I have a cuticle stick here that I use for pushing glue around sometimes, depending on how big the area is, how big the blob of glue, depending on other things that I'm doing with my fingers at the time, because I certainly don't want to put my glue fingers down on top of this. And this is hanging over the edge, but it's on one of those edges that I'm probably going to cut off because I can see the tag underneath. Now this would be a good edge to use this bone folder substitute. i.e. a paper clip. I'm sorry, it's not a paper clip. What is this called? Clothespin. Clothespin. My great grandma actually used these to hang her clothes out on a clothesline in her backyard. She actually did. See, you can tell I got a little bit too much glue. But, you know, when that dries, I'll take some, oh, I didn't ink around this one, did I? I'll take some ink and I'll just smudge it on there, and nobody will even be able to tell. So now what we need to do is, in this hole, we need to put a ribbon of some sort. Now I have all kinds of ribbon scraps here. I actually have twine if we want to try twine, but I have some other things here. Not so sure about the dark ribbon. That's just a scrap that was laying around. But I've got some real pretty ribbon here. This pinkish ribbon is what I used